Hey guys, ADHD here, and today's video is actually going to be a very special video, guys, because today actually marks the 3-year anniversary of the series you guys know as Ash, or Awesome Minecraft Survival House series. This thing is absolutely insane because it's been 3 years, guys. This is actually the world where this series started. This is where all of the early episodes of Ash were filmed on. Right here actually is Ash episode number 1, guys. Absolutely incredible. And you know, it's actually been a while since I've been on this world because now we film all of the episodes on a flat ground world. You know, back when I started Ash, there was no flat ground worlds. Everything had to be done on a regular world, and we had to clear out the land. So that's how we had to do everything. Whereas now we have a flat ground world. So it's even crazy to look at the evolution of Minecraft on PC and on console, actually. So it's just absolutely mind, blowing. So yeah, so this is episode number 1 right here, guys. And we are going to be going through in this video my top 10 favorite episodes of Ash, my top 10 favorite houses from the series. We have done 45 episodes, so it was actually really hard for me to pick 10 houses as my favorite because all of these houses, guys, have a very, very special place in my heart because I work very hard on all of them, and I just enjoy the series a lot, so it was really hard to pick 10. And for those of you guys that are new and are wondering why necessarily we are in episode number 45 when I've been doing this for 3 years, you might be thinking, if you do this every week, how are you not nearly 200 by now? And you would actually be right if I did this every week. But when the series first started, I think I did it every 2 or 3 months actually, and that's why time kind of stretched. When I did episode number 1, I think I was at maybe 2. I'd already been doing YouTube for I think 1 year. I think it was exactly maybe a year and 1 month when I put episode number 1 out, when I started making videos. And I think I had 3,000 or 4,000 subscribers. Yeah, it took me a year and a month to get to 4,000 subscribers, I believe. It took me a long time. And this is basically the house that was actually dropped. And when I dropped it, it didn't get that many views. Not many people were even asking to see the series again. And as the series escalated and the channel started, growing, people actually wanted to see more of it. And they wanted to see, more, different houses and stuff like this. And YouTube was a totally different place back then, too. That's a whole other thing. But the whole, thing started back, when that episode came out. And then when this episode came out, that's when I started doing it weekly. And that's kind of the evolution, this little history of Ash. But we're going to start on the top 10 right now, guys. We're going to start the list in front of this little, first episode just because it's a 3-year anniversary of it. So we're going to start right now, guys, on my top 10 favorite episodes of Ash. Alright guys, starting off the list with number 10, this was the house I chose, which is episode number 17. For this whole list, if I have a tutorial for it, I will link the tutorial playlist down below. And if it has a tutorial, I'll let you guys know. This one, in fact, does have a tutorial, so I definitely recommend you check that out. But the reason why I chose this house is because this is actually the first house I ever did that really kind of stretched the definition of what was a house in Minecraft. Other people had done house tutorials before me, obviously, but no, not very many people that I saw at the time were doing any houses that really kind of stretched that definition. And for me, I decided to do an underwater house because that was I hadn't seen anybody really do any tutorials on it, and I just thought, it would be really cool, and it's something I'd always wanted to build in Minecraft. So that's why I chose this, and it's just really cool. It's this underwater base. The entire house is submerged underwater, and it's all within this little island. It's this little small island that you really wouldn't think too much about, but then you crawl in here, and it has this awesome house on the inside. Let's take a look on the inside real quick. Just go ahead and go down here. And it is just absolutely insane. It's just so classy in here. I really, did really good on the, the interior, I think. And it's just cool. You walk through these little, portal type, hallways that get from place to place. You can just see the squids swimming and stuff. And it's just a really, really cool place to live in Minecraft. You don't have to just think about living in a normal house that, you just have a door and a window, and it's just, really simple. This was the first house, like I said, that I built that really kind of, push that boundary of, you don't have to live in a wooden or cobblestone house. You can live in anything really in Minecraft as long as it has, closed doors and closed walls, So that's pretty much what I went with here. Let's show the back real quick too. And this is the little storage area and the crafting room. And yeah, so that's why I chose this episode for number 10. The reason why it doesn't have a higher place in the list is just because, I don't know, I just think it really, it was definitely stretching the box, but it doesn't stretch it as much as I would like it to as far as, the newer houses go. But it's definitely, again, the top 10 out of 45. That's still a very good high place. So anyway, let's go on to the next one. Alright guys, number 9 actually came right after the underwater house. This is the sky house, and this is the reason why I chose this one for number 9. And just because I think it's definitely a little bit more original than the underwater one. It's just crazy as far as, if you look at this actual shape, I came up with this design, and it's basically a piece of, floating surface of the ground that matches the floor below it identically. It's absolutely insane. I haven't seen this house in a while. I'm like, wow, that's really cool. And then you have the particles coming up off the floor as if it's really just been ripped out of the floor. And it has this whole little house up here that's just not really like a normal house. It's not like something this is the exact opposite of what I said defines a house last time. There's no closed walls. It's completely open. There's no door. There's no windows. It's just this really cool open area with the little, bed. It's got the chest, all your survival stuff, and then you can just walk around because you don't really have to worry about any kind of mob or even really, most people attacking you because you're in the air. You can see the whole, world off from here, and it's just really cool. And that's the whole point of this series. And, at one point it was just really building, regular houses. But then the series became about stretching that definition of what is considered a house in Minecraft. And that's this whole series is about now. And that's this house I feel like really encapsulates that. So that's why I chose this house for episode number 9. There was also a tutorial for this house as well if you want to go check that out in the playlist down below. But anyway, let's go to the next one. Okay guys, for number 8, I decided to go with Ash episode number 7. And there's also a tutorial for this down below. And that's actually the exact reason why I chose this house for number 8. Is because this is actually the first house I did a tutorial on. And the reason why that's obviously special is because the tutorials are definitely, as far as, Ash definitely was a big part of why my channel grew, but not nearly as much as the tutorials for the Ash episodes. The Ash episodes, maybe they usually cap out around 50,000 views max, where tutorials, they go from, hundreds of thousands to, in some cases millions. So that's why I definitely chose this house, because this is the house where I started with tutorials. And if you watch that video, oh my gosh, the tutorial was agonizing. I was so bad at it. I actually picked up on it very quickly. But by the third tutorial, I was actually pretty decent at it. But the first one is definitely really bad because it was the first one I did. And this house is actually really simple too. Like if I were to tutorial this now, I could probably do it in one take with without any flaws. But back then it was so difficult to me for some reason. I guess I was just inexperienced. But anyway, that's actually it. I'm not gonna go too far into this house. Just upstairs area. Then there's a garden down below. Not too much, but the garden actually is an eternal water source, which is pretty cool. So I like that about it. But anyway, guys, that is it. Let's go to the next one. Okay guys, for number 7 I had to go with the zombie survival house, and that is mainly just because I love this design. There was no real deep reason for this one actually. I just really love this design. I worked really hard on it and I had a lot of fun, and it's one of my favorite designs, simply that. I just think it's awesome with the brain explodes, the bloody mouth, and the bloody suit and everything, and the missing arm. And it's based off of the regular Minecraft zombie mixed with this horror aspect that I just really enjoyed making. And then my favorite part about this house is this one doesn't have it, but the ripped off legs with the blood that smeared from him crawling away from his legs that were left there. I just think that's awesome. And then inside the legs are his little another bedroom. When I made this house, I was like, wow, this is awesome. That I knew this was gonna be one of my favorites. I even said that in the videos, but definitely one of my favorite episodes ever. Just because I think it's just a cool design. And there was also a tutorial for this one as well, if you guys want to check it out. I think most of my favorite ones have a tutorial, just because I did a tutorial on them, whether people wanted to see it or not, because I like them so much. Alright, so let's go on to the next one. Alright guys, for number 6 I actually went with the Bloody Herobrine Survival House. I again have a tutorial for this one down below in the playlist. I went with this one just because I think this house is absolutely awesome. Herobrine is just, the lore behind him. If you guys know me, any game that has lore behind it, whether it's FNAF, Pokemon, Call of Duty Zombies, all of the games that have lore behind them, that hooks me. And the lore of Herobrine is just absolutely awesome to me. And that's one of the reasons I love Minecraft so much, just the lore that's behind the game. And this is, one of my favorite houses because of that, because the whole Herobrine lore. And it actually was really risky for me to upload this video because I have a very, it's supposed to be a family-friendly channel, and it still is. But this house, the blood and everything was definitely stretching that. I even remember sending this to some friends and some other people asking if they thought it was cool if I uploaded this, if they think it was a little too risky to upload this. Yeah, but you guys end up loving it. It's actually one of the most viewed episodes of Ash, so I'm glad that it went so well. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this. There's not really too much of the interior. We can go ahead and take a look real quick. The main house is inside of its head. With most of the statue house builds, usually just the the main part of the house is in the head. There's like a little spare bedroom in the arm, I think, yeah. And that's pretty much it though for this one, guys. This one's strictly based on the design and because I'm such a big Herobrine fan. But anyway, let's get to the next one. Alright guys, for number 5, I actually went with the Enderman Survival House. This is the first Enderman Survival House. And you guys have noticed a lot of the higher ones are actually some of the newer ones. And that's just because I think the series has gotten better over time. I didn't really pick too many of the older ones. And that's, like I said, primarily just because I feel like the series has gotten better with time. I don't think it's gotten worse. I think it's actually, all the houses have improved. So that's why almost all of the, as the list goes up, the newer houses. But this is actually definitely one of my favorites. Definitely number 5 because it is one of my favorites. It's the Enderman, and the Enderman is definitely, I'd say, tied for my favorite mob. The Creeper and the Enderman are definitely my favorite mobs in the game, so I decided, to pick number 5 just because I think it looks so awesome. And huge shout out to TSMC for this texture design. I did obviously make everything else with the arms and stuff, and the extensions and stuff, but the texture actually, he did an amazing job of replicating the skin of the Enderman. So that's, was a great part, a great help in me building this. So going down below, we can show the inside real quick. This is the, oh, what the heck am I doing? This is actually the storage room right here. But then the coolest part about this house is that you guys know that the Enderman still blocks. So right down below here in the block, we have the actual house. And I've actually seen a lot of you guys recreate this using a dirt block, which I think looks absolutely awesome. The only reason why I went with obsidian originally is just because it matched better with the whole, Enderman. And I am very aware, guys, that the Enderman does not come out of another portal, and nor can he carry obsidian. It was just a theory and just a little fun build. It was basically made to make it, fit the color scheme. The nether portal very closely resembles his eyes, and then the block resembles the whole build as a whole. I said as a hoe for some reason. But that's pretty much it, guys, for this one. Another one of the most viewed ones on the series, so a lot of you guys loved it. So that's another reason why it had to go on here. Anyway, let's go to the next one. Alright guys, for number 4, I decided to go with Ash episode number 39, and this house has a very special place in my heart, again, along with a lot of them, because this one, not just because of the design, because actually it's really, this house I made strictly for a particular audience, as you can tell. I actually have a very, very big female audience compared to most gaming channels. Most gaming channels, they have anywhere from like a 10 to maximum 20%. Female to male audience ratio, where on my channel I actually have a 60 to 40, where 40% of my audience is actually female, which basically means almost 1 out of every 2 people is female. So I didn't really think it was fair to always be doing necessarily, stereotypical boy house. Not saying that you have to be, a boy to build the houses. I'm not saying that in any sense, nor do you have to be a girl to build, this house. I'm just saying that to fit that certain demographic that's into more girly-esque type things, I decided to build the Barbie house, which is this house right here, the Barbie dream house. And it was actually really hard for me to build this because I'm not a Barbie expert. I had to look up a lot of Google images of like, Barbie, dream houses throughout the, the ages, different time periods. And I actually learned a lot about the Mattel Barbie line. I ended up watching like a bunch of videos about the history and stuff before I built this. And actually a lot of research goes into a lot of my houses, guys, believe it or not. And this is definitely one of them. I had to, look at all the different Barbie dream houses throughout, different time periods. And I kind of combined all of them, and this has ended up what I came up with, actually. And I really enjoy this house, and this is another one of my fastest videos to ever break almost 500,000. It got like, I think it's only been up for like 2 months. It's already at like 500,000 video views. So I definitely, reached that demographic I was looking for. And I definitely, everybody said they loved it. All the different, from the female audience and even a lot of the male audience really enjoyed this house. So that made me really happy because, like I said, it was kind of a risk because I didn't know how the other, I'm just going to put these down temporarily, the other, non-female part of my audience was going to react to it. And, as always, you guys reacted amazingly. You guys were the best audience, I think, on YouTube, in my opinion. I mean, maybe I'm a little bit biased, but you guys absolutely reacted perfectly to this house. I'm really glad that you guys reacted the way you did. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. Alright guys, and for the number 3 slot, I had to go with the Enderdragon Skull House. And that is another one of the houses that just came down strictly to design. There's no real special reason I chose this one. I just think it looks epic. Like, it just looks awesome. Definitely one of the most viewed. It has like over 500,000 video views on it. And you guys always send me pictures of you guys having built this one. So that's another reason why it's on this list, just because of how much you guys love it. And this actually came from you guys. One of you guys, I can't remember the name to date, sorry. But it actually came from one of you guys who had left a comment asking me to turn the Enderdragon head into a skull. So that's basically how this became a thing. And then I added the fire and all that stuff myself. And I built the whole thing myself, obviously, but the comment is where the idea came from. So whoever that was, I apologize for not remembering her name. I believe I mentioned it in the showcase video. It was a girl, actually. Not, I don't want to say he. It was a she. So definitely, thank you whoever that was, because this video is definitely one of my favorites, and I absolutely love this house. Yeah, so that's definitely why it's on the list. No other reason besides the awesome design. Anyway, let's go to the next one. Okay, guys, and my number 2 slot goes to Ash episode number 1, actually. We're back on this world again. Ash episode number 1 kicks my number 2 spot just because of how awesome it is, the fact that it was episode number 1, and also because this is actually, of all the houses I build, guys, I build a lot of houses, you guys know this. There's a lot of houses I build that aren't even on the Ash series. I think I built hundreds of houses at this point. Not even some that you guys haven't even seen that I just built and I just didn't like them, so I didn't, upload them. So of all the houses I built in, this is actually the only one that I really lived in Minecraft. Like, if you come in here, this actually was my house in Minecraft. Like, when I played through the whole survival, mode, I beat the Enderdragon and everything like that, before I started taking building really seriously, this was my house. I still have my equipment still in this whole, house. This is all my food supply from my garden over there. This, like I said, this is the only house I actually, truly did live in. I had a friend that stayed up here that was bumming it in this bed. This is just crazy. Like I said, it's like it's hard to explain, but just think about how many houses I build that I don't actually use. They just stay there, just for so you guys can make them for yourselves. But I don't actually use them. This one I actually use. And then over here we have the garden, which the pressure plate's not working for whatever. Oh, there it goes. This is the actual garden that I really used it. And the way this house became a thing was because when this whole world was spawned, it was made for a survival playthrough. I just played through the survival mode, and I found this little pit of water. This is not touched. I didn't build this. It was this pit of water. I was like, wow, this is pretty crazy. So it was just this big crater in the earth that had that pit of water in there. And I was like, wow, I should make my house over this. And I made the, I made the house in the air. I made this little platform out of cobblestone because cobblestone was easy to find. You can just dig in the ground and find cobblestone. And I made this little small ugly house on it, and that's how this basically became Ash episode number 1. I was like, oh, well, I'm gonna make this, a video, and then basically that's how Ash started with the word survival. And a lot of you guys ask why I always call it survival when it's, sometimes it's stuff that you can't even, it would take you years to get in survival, because it started off being built in survival, but then the demand for the series became too much for me to actually do it in survival, so I had to end up changing it to making it in creative mode. So that's why the word survival is in every single video, even though it's not a survival house most of the time, because it started as survival, and the series, I didn't want to just change the series, I guess, so I decided to just keep calling it survival. And that's basically the whole history of the word survival, and that's why this is number 2, because I actually lived in this house. This was my house I played through survival mode in. When I play survival mode, I use this house. So that's why it's so special, and that's why it's my number 2 slot. Let's go to number 1. Alright guys, and for my number 1 slot, I'm sure you guys all saw this coming, I had to go with the Enderdragon survival house, the Enderdragon head house. This thing is absolutely insane. The video has nearly 5 million video views, but honestly, even if the video only got 5,000 views, this would still be my favorite. I just love this house so much. I love the vicious teeth on it, the wicked tongue, the freaking, animated nether portal eyes. I don't think anybody on YouTube did. I've seen other people do this now, but I'm gonna go ahead and quote it. I think I'm the first person to ever do the nether portal eyes. I never saw anybody else do it. I've never seen anybody do it until after I did it. But I've seen a few people do it now. But just gonna call it, I was the first one to do it. Anyway, that's another reason why I love this house. I just love the whole design, and it's just like I said, when I first uploaded this, it was actually quite a risk when I uploaded it. Like, there was basically nobody else that was doing houses quite this crazy. Everybody was doing typical houses like this, including myself. I was doing regular, just wooden houses, and this was the first thing I did that was really, really outlandish. This is definitely what catalyzed, pretty much the rest of my channel, which is basically building all these really crazy houses that are just way off topic, as far as normal survival houses go. And I remember just thinking people were going to be mad because I used obsidian, and then I called it a survival house, and then people were going to think, like, how can you live in, something that looks like this? And just thinking people were going to not like it. And I remember the video getting a few more views than most of my videos actually did at that time. I think I had like 10,000 subscribers, and the video had like quite a lot of views for what I had at the time. And I was thinking, man, because at the time I was not home and I couldn't check the comments, and I was thinking, man, I wonder if like everybody's watching it right now simply because they want to be the first one to tell me how bad it is and how crappy it was. And I was like, man, please tell me they aren't mad. And then I got home, I checked the comments, and everybody was like, wow, this is the best house you've made. You know, do tutorials on it. And then I started doing, do more houses like this, do more crazy houses. And then from there, that's what I started doing, and that's definitely what grew my channel the most, was doing these crazy, outlandish houses that nobody really else was doing at the time. So it definitely, that's what made me stand out. So like this is why I chose this house, because of that. And I just, honestly, it's just a badass house. It's just cool looking. It's really cool. The vicious teeth, the awesome fact that it's the great Ender Dragon himself, everything about it. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna stop talking your ear off. I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here with the Ender Dragon here. Anyway, guys, you guys can hit that like button. I would greatly appreciate it. I'm sure you guys already know by this point there's a tutorial for this. If you haven't watched it already, there is a tutorial for this, so check that out. If you hit the like I said, that'd be awesome. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. As you can tell, I build loads of crazy Minecraft houses all the time, along with other Minecraft stuff, so I definitely recommend you check that stuff out. But anyway, guys, as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Adios.